Verse 29. Vepahuscha sarire me Ramaharshascha jayate Gandivam shram sadarhastat Twadchaiva paridayate. My body trembles, my hair stands on end, my skin burns, and my Gandiva bow slips from my grasp. Verse 30. Na cha shaknom yavastatum brahmativa cha me manaha nimitani cha pashyame viparitani keshava. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, I cannot keep my composure. My mind is bewildered and I see evil omens. Verse 31. Na chashreyo nupashyame hatpasvajanam ahave. Na kankshe vijayam Krishna na charajam sukhani cha. O Krishna, I see no benefit in slaying my kinsmen in this battle. Neither do I desire victory nor happiness by attaining a great kingdom. Verse 32-34. Kim no raje no govinda kim boger jivitina va ye samarte kangsitam no rajamboga sukhani cha. Tayami bashita yude pranams chakva danani cha. Acharya pitara putras tataiva cha pitamaha. Matulab spasura potra shala sambandinas tata. Etam nahuntum ichame gatopi madhusudana. O Govinda, of what avail to us are kingdoms, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Govinda, of what use is a kingdom and its pleasures, if those for whom we desire all this, our teachers, elders, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives that are present here on this battlefield are ready to jeopardize their kingdoms and their lives in this battle? O Madhusudana, even if they wish to slay me, I have no desire to slay them. Text 35. Api triloka rajasya hetokim numahi krite. Nibacha dartarastram na kapritisha janardana. O Janardan, maintainer of all living beings, what to speak of ruling this world, even if we gain sovereignty over the three worlds? What happiness would be attained by killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? I'll add a note here. Arjuna mentions the three worlds. They consist of upper planets, the heavenly planets, middle planets like this earth, and lower planets, which are hellish planets where much suffering takes place. So according to one's karma, one will go to either heaven or to hell, or perhaps stay in this middle planet. If one engages in very, very pious activities, austerities, welfare work, then they may be elevated to the heavenly planets where much enjoyment takes place and much pleasure takes place. Eventually burning up their good karma, they would come to this middle planet again. And similarly, if one engages in very atrocious activity, a very sinful life, they have to go to the lower planets where very much suffering takes place. But gradually that bad karma again is burned off and one comes back into one of the middle planets like this earth. But if one engages in bhakti yoga, then they don't make any karma. And they are elevated eventually to the Vaikuntha world, the eternal world, the transcendental spiritual world, where one engages in loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And after having reached the Vaikuntha world, the transcendental world, one does not have to come again into this material world, this place of birth, death, disease, and old age, where much suffering takes place. Text 36. Papameva shrayadasman hatpaitan atatayinaha tasmanarba vayam hantun dartarastram sabandavan svajanam hi katam hatva Sukhina Shama Madhava. O Madhava, husband of the goddess of fortune, great misfortune will surely come upon us if we kill our relatives, though they may be hostile towards us. It is not proper to slay the sons of Dhritarashtra as well as our friends. What happiness will be derived from killing our own kin? Text 37-38. Yajap yete napashyante labopahata chetasaha. Kulasaya kritam dosham mitadrohe chapatakam. Katam naneyamambi paparasma nivartitum. Kulasaya kritam dosham prapasyabdir janardana. O Janardan, although the hearts of these men are overwhelmed by greed, and they cannot see the fault of betraying one's friends and the offense of murdering one's kinsmen, why should we engage in such a terrible activity, knowing well the consequences? Text 39. Kulasaye pranashante kula dharma sanatana. Dharme naste kulam kritsnam adharmo bibhavat yuta. By destroying one's relatives, the family traditions are vanquished forever, and when such practices perish, unrighteousness prevails over the entire dynasty. Text 40. Adharma bibhavat Krishna pradushante kulastriyaha. Sri sudusta varshneya jayate varna shankaraha. O Krishna, descendant of Vrishni, when unrighteousness prevails, then the women of the family become degraded. When the women become degraded, then undesirable offspring is the result. I'll add a little note here. This verse gives a hint at how righteous the people and pious the people were in the Vedic age, up to 5,000 years ago. And that even the activity of sexual intercourse was done in a very pious way. There were different sacrifices one would engage in to purify the mind and body before one engaged in sexual activity to beget offspring. By engaging in such activity, then one was assured a good birth, that they would have a good child, a good boy child or a good girl child. But in this age, people engage in sex just like animals, and it's become so degraded, and now there's even people who want to marry animals, and people think that this is progress. This is not progress, folks. I'm sorry. This is the devolution of society. So when Arjuna speaks about the degradation of women, he's speaking about how in this age they become exploited. Text 41. Shankaro narakayaiva kulaganam kulashacha. Patanti pitaro hesham lupta pindot daka kriyaha. Undesirable offspring creates a dreadful condition for both the family and the destroyer of family values. Their forefathers fall down due to the discontinuation of ceremonial libations of food and water. We'll add a little note here. In past ages, family members would engage in activity to help their ancestors. Perhaps an ancestor had to suffer in hell for some time. By engaging in certain activities, they could be delivered that way. But in this age of Kali Yuga, the only real sacrifice is the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. The congregational chanting of the holy names of Krishna is the sacrifice for the age of Kali Yuga. And by engaging in this sacrifice, all of one's family members are actually benefited. In fact, it is told by great saintly persons that if one becomes a pure lover of Krishna, then his past ancestors, at least 10 generations, are all liberated, up to 100 generations. So the best thing one can do for family members is to engage in Krishna consciousness, to engage in bhakti yoga, and try to become a pure lover of Krishna. Text 42. Doshayar itaya kula ganam varna shankara karakai. Ustajante jate dharmaha kula dharmascha shishvataha. Such terrible deeds by the destroyers of the family create a population of unwanted progeny that totally annihilates all traditions of family and society. Text 43. Utsanakula dharmanam manushyanam janardana narake niyatam vasu bhavatiyanushushuma. O Janardana, I have heard that those who destroy familial, social, and spiritual values eternally reside in wretched conditions. Verse 44. Ahohata mahat papam kartum via vasita vayam yadrajasu kalobena hantum svadganam ujataha. Alas, what wickedness we are determined to commit. Simply due to our greed to enjoy royal pleasures, we are prepared to kill our own relatives? Verse 45. Yadimam aprakti karam ashastram shastra panayaha dartarasta rani hanyus tanme semataram bhavet. If the sons of Dhritarashtra with the weapons in their hands slay me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield, that would be considered better by me. Text 46. Sanjaya uvacha evam ukvarjuna sanke ratopasta upavishat vishrajashastram chapam shoka samvignan manasaha. Sanjaya said, having thus spoken these words, Arjuna cast aside his bow and arrows and sat on his chariot, his heart heavy with sorrow. Anuvritti commentary by Surfing Swami Jagad Bhakti Gaurava Narasingha Maharaja. Figuratively speaking, we would say that Arjuna was caught between a hard spot and a rock. Therefore, Arjuna intelligently approached Sri Krishna and appealed for his intervention. Knowing that Sri Krishna was the absolute truth, complete with all opulence and knowledge, Arjuna approached Sri Krishna, addressing him as Rishikesh, master of the senses, as Achyuta, the infallible, as Keshava, the killer of the Keshi demon, as Govinda, one who pleases the senses, as Madhusudan, the killer of the Madhu demon, as Janardana, the maintainer of all living beings, as Madhava, the husband of the goddess of fortune, and as Varshnaya, the descendant of the Vrishni dynasty. Arjuna addressed Sri Krishna by his different names in order to invoke Krishna's mercy and compassion for the predicament that Arjuna was in. As Rishikesh, Krishna is the master of the mind and senses. Thus, he is never bewildered or put into illusion. As Achyuta, he is incapable of making mistakes or wrong decisions. Arjuna needed Krishna's advice urgently, advice that he could depend on, that would give relief to Arjuna's disturbed mind and senses. As Keshava, Krishna is the killer of the demon Keshi, who represents the false sense of greatness. Sri Krishna is known to have killed numerous demons during his advent, and each of those demons represented negative qualities that hinder one's progress in spiritual life, such as the desire for name and fame, dishonesty, false pride, deceitfulness, cruelty, foolishness, violence, lust, anger, greed, false teachings, and bad habits, etc. Arjuna was confident that by taking shelter of Sri Krishna, all that was an impediment to his situation would be removed. By addressing Krishna as the descendant of Vrishni dynasty, Arjuna was also reminding Krishna of the importance of family traditions, and to destroy them was Arjuna's biggest dilemma. Om Tat Saditi Shri Mahabharate Sata Sahasriyam Samvitayam Vaishaskyam Bhishma Parvani Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supani Satsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastri Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvadi Sanya Darshanam Nama Pratamo Diyayaha. Om Tat Sat. Thus ends chapter 1, entitled Sanya Darshana, from the conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna in the Upanishad known as Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Shastra of divine knowledge, from the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata, the literature revealed by Vyasa in 100,000 verses. Okay, so that ends chapter 1. And if you're still with me, thank you very much. It gets a lot better. Stay tuned.